Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Brandon Shank, and welcome to the Brandon Shank Podcast. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Brandon Shank Podcast. As always, got my main man, Corey, over here in the corner. Not as much in the corner as he used to be, but he's here.
I know, right? Yeah, I still like the name. I really enjoy it, but I'm in the side kind of pocket here.
Give the fans what they want. Give them the name.
Hey, you know what? I know what they want right now. What they want right now, what they need right now is a happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Brandon. Happy birthday to you. Woo!
Let's go. Thank you, man.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Wait.
42
I
you've
missed
ever
it.
seen.
Here we go. I missed it. Here we go. That goes on for another 30 seconds. So.
Listen, I just want to thank. We record this early on Wednesday. It's only 9:30 in the morning here on the East Coast.
Yeah.
I have been getting. I just to tell you, I am. So this is the thing. My wife will tell you, like, I'm a birthday guy, but I'm not. Meaning, like, I like to celebrate other people, and I like to celebrate me. It's fine, but like, I always say, no, it's cool. We'll just do whatever for my birthday. And then my wife, like, she goes out because she knows at the end of the day, like, I like my birthday. You know what I'm saying? Who doesn't like their birthday? And,
oh yeah.
And I used to not. And I think that's why I like it so much now. Is when I was younger, I didn't, because it was always like every year was a year that I failed. Every year that I didn't hit my goals. Every year, it was that thing. And now it's like, man, I got 4 boys, a beautiful wife. I got an amazing God. Like, I have reason to celebrate. I got great friends like you, and it's like I've been getting so many texts. I've been getting videos from just like people in the church, like sending me videos of the kids being like, happy birthday, Pastor Brandon. And it's just dear to my heart, man. And like, everything on social. I just want to tell everybody it's 9:30 in the morning on my birthday. I've been up for a couple hours, got up early to work out, to get some stuff done so that I can just get my day going, because I got some stuff I'm doing this afternoon. And I just want to thank everybody. I mean, already this early, I've been inundated and overwhelmed. And honestly, it makes me feel really good. I got to admit it. Makes me feel really, really good. So I just want to thank y'all. Just nonstop love, man. I mean, as we're sitting here, I'm getting texts, and I just want to thank you guys. I know that I'm really not that important, but I know that I serve a God who is, and I'm grateful that I can make any impact in your life. So that's really what it comes down to, is I know that God is the only reason that I'm valuable in so many ways. So I just thank you guys for all the love, man. It's been good.
You're underselling yourself. We love you. We appreciate you.
Well, I love you guys. Thank you, man. That was the most beautiful rendition of Happy Birthday I've ever heard.
I wish I had some reverb on it and some stuff, but
it's good. It was the second rendition, though. I mean, I got up this morning. My mother-in-law was here. She sang Happy Birthday to me, and it was beautiful.
Okay.
I said, man, Case, you definitely don't get your voice from your mom. She's way better singer than you.
I love it.
But hey, man, the great thing about this past weekend, so it's week 1 of college football. The week before, they call it week 0, so it's week 1. This was the first college football opening weekend that I have been able to watch in 3 years. 3 years. Now, I know many of you are like, well, why would you? It's a big deal. 2 years ago, I started a baseball program. Last year, I was coaching another baseball team. Every Saturday and Sunday for the last 3 years have been booked. Not this weekend, man. I was like, why is this so weird? Dude, I cooked some barbecue. My wife went out and got all the snackies. We had the chips and the dips and the all the vegetables, the pickles, the olives, the coffee running like just beautiful, just like beautiful fresh spring water running down a hill of West Virginia. The coffee was flowing and the barbecue chicken was going. And I mean, it was just great, man. I just sat on the couch all day. I turned College Game Day on in the morning. We made breakfast. I had my dad come over, my mom come over. We had some people come over. We kicked it. Just watched college football. No other thing.
Watched
it until I went to bed at night, and it was beautiful.
So nice. You can't beat days
one
like
thing I did notice, you can't, and I don't get them. So, like, I told Case, like, I don't need sabbaticals in my life. I just need good rest. You feel me on that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't need 6 months off. I just need good rest, man. I don't need 10 weeks off. I just need good rest in my normal life. A lot of my buddies, man, Palms is celebrating 10 years in a week and a half. 10 years.
Come on, somebody.
I mean, that's Give me that. Can we get a hand clap for that?
You know what?
Little
We
hand clap
absolutely
action?
can. Absolutely.
Let's get. It almost sounds like rain. Almost sounds a little bit like heavy raindrops.
It does kind of. You know, I only got one more.
A couple of thoughts though. A couple of thoughts though. About college football opening weekend. Number one, the SEC is full of polos. Now, I know it's the South, but all y'all like your polos. So I wore one today for y'all, but y'all like your polos, man. You go to an Atlanta Braves game, it's polos and those Columbia shirts that you wear fishing. That's all people wear down there.
Yeah.
But they look great. But I've never gone to a football game in polos and khakis. But if you watch the SEC football, guess what? It's full of polos and khakis. Different world down there. East Coast, you don't ride like that. But Southeast, different.
My wife has a high school picture of the double popped polos.
Ooh,
2 different colors.
Double
That's
pop.
next level, dude.
You know, I couldn't rock that. I'm a sweater. Did you ever rock the double polo?
No, absolutely. You know me.
No, I'm a sweater. I'm a sweater. I couldn't do that.
Hoodies
Second thing
all
is
day.
college football. College football red zone issues. All right. Listen, a lot of college teams are struggling to put the ball in the red zone or in the end zone when they're in the red zone. Let me tell you this: the red zone is from 20 yards in. But let me tell you guys something. I have played Madden for a long time, and I'm gonna tell you what works in the red zone: a tight end. Anything, a dump route, anything, a go, something to get him open in the back end zone, and a slant. That works. It works. And I know a lot of people do it, but I'm just telling you, all you football coaches out there getting paid millions, here in the Brandon Shank podcast, I am going to make you millions. Do the tight end slant, a little dump route to the tight end, or the tight end dump routes or slants to the receivers, and you will find victory. It works in Madden. I'm just saying. And now, I'm playing NCAA football 25 these days, but it works. Just saying. If it works for me, it'll work for you on the gridiron. I know it will. It's good advice.
See, that's top tier because I just don't know. I don't know the plays, man. I don't know what to run. I'm not a student. I enjoy watching the game, but can't do it, man. That's why you beat me in football.
If it works
games.
on
I stay
college
away
football
from
25, it'll work
games.
in real life. No, it's all good, man. You're a gamer though. You can compete. So this is the thing about week 2 college football. We got Florida playing Samford. We got Georgia playing Tennessee Tech. And we got Western Michigan playing Ohio State. And so I just want to say to all you teams that are playing these schools, my prayers are with you. You know, we're going to have some more 55-0 games. Now, is there a chance that one of them could upset? No, not a chance. Not a chance. Georgia will never lose to Tennessee Tech. There is not a chance Georgia will lose. Now, I think it's great that these teams are playing because the reality is this. Who's the real winner here? The real winner is Samford, Tennessee Tech, and Western Michigan. Why? Because they're probably getting paid more than $300,000 to play those games. So hats off to you guys. Great job. But my prayers are still with you. Be safe. Be safe out there against these kamikazes. Hey, do you know how selfies and pictures are a part of everything? Right?
Of course. Yeah.
Like a part of everything. So how many pictures would you take if social media... Now, this isn't for you. This is for all the listeners. How many pictures would you take if social media wasn't a thing?
Oh, goodness. Here's the thing. I would well... I still enjoy photography. So there's a level of
you don't count.
I'm probably exactly. Don't count me. I actually have a lot of pictures.
You're not a social media person. Like you'll put stuff up there, but you're not like one of these people that, man, look at this Frosty that I got for $1. You know, like you're not that
I would
guy.
never take pictures of my food.
I'm not throwing down on y'all because I think for some of you it makes you feel connected to people, which is great.
Sure.
But I'm saying some of y'all post everything. You post everything, or it's all about like it's just like it's literally multiple times a day. And I get it. You're going with them algorithms. For some of you, you just love your kids that much. That's fine. But Corey's not that guy.
Yeah,
Corey, when you post pictures, they're artistic.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, but I have way more photos on my camera roll than I ever post. Like, so I'm probably not
me too.
The person you need to talk to. But
I'm for real. I'm with you on that.
Yeah. But no, I get what you're saying. I'm right there with you for sure.
So, do you remember selfies before the front-facing cameras?
Yeah, like having to take them.
Trying to take pictures of all your friends.
It was
awkward.
like
Holding it out. Like, I want a good one. I got to get them.
Yeah, exactly. It was painful. That's why the selfie stick was invented.
It wasn't that long ago.
Further. No. Yeah.
We're talking like less than 10 years. I mean, I would be interested to know when the first front-facing camera was created, but it wasn't
let's
that
find
long
out.
ago, because I remember trying to take pictures of me and my homeboys or whatever, and you're like trying to touch your finger on the backside of the, you're trying to do anything you can to get that picture taken. There's no front facing camera. It was a disaster, right?
Yo, you're not going to believe this. The very first front facing attachment for a device was May 1999, the Game Boy. Oh, I mean, come on. I mean, that's a win for gaming right there.
Let's talk about the rest of society that wasn't playing Game Boys.
Ahead of its time.
If anybody had a front-facing camera on their phone,
what?
Game Boy didn't take pictures.
It was also May 1999. It was a Japanese phone called the VP 210. That was the first time.
So I've been watching this thing. There was an Apple. There's a wristwatch made in '88 that would connect with, I believe it was a Macintosh computer, and they'd use a floppy disk to get the information from the wristwatch to the computer.
What? That's wild.
It's a real thing.
I miss floppy disks.
No,
I miss them. Yeah, dude, I miss them.
I remember in college,
awesome.
before the cloud, I would have with the hard disks, and I'd get a couple different neon colors because I was cool. And I'd go up to the computer lab, and I'd put all my papers on the hard disk and then put it back. I was like, who needs a computer? I got this hard disk, bro. I just go from computer lab to computer lab. I'm taking advantage of these people. But
yeah, I'm still
my freshman year of college.
I'm still like old school tactical. Like if I could, I don't, because I get the ease of it, but I would have like a Blu-ray collection, physical discs, like even with video games.
Yeah, there's something nostalgic.
Physical, yeah. I miss
the cloud ruins a lot of great things. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
The cloud kind of takes away the physical part of technology that we like. I don't want to just save it and know that it's in the cloud. I'd like to have a disk that is a backup. And I know you can do that with hard drives and things, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Something about putting a disk in your backpack after you've saved a paper you worked all night on, and you slip it into that backpack and you go to school and man, I got my paper, my hard work's in this backpack.
Bro,
it's on the cloud.
I know one. What about your like 6 CD player changer in your car, or the people that were wild and they had like a 41 in their trunk where you could just press a button and in the back it's doing all sorts of mechanical things to get that CD where it needs to be. Dude, come on, that's nostalgic.
I saw this thing the other day.
That's amazing.
Bro, I saw this hilarious meme the other day. It was a picture of a guy flipping through his binder full of CDs, and then it showed him looking at the Google Maps or the MapQuest actual physical maps in his car while he's trying to flip through CDs, and it says, "We talk about today's kids being distracted drivers. They got no idea what the 90s were like."
We still have one of those huge DVD things in our car because the boys want to watch a movie.
Oh, yeah.
Put the DVD. This is a big, dude. I love it.
Yeah, I get you. Well, hey, man, what fun fact you got for us today?
I got a good one, man. I got a really good one. It's a very interesting one. So, you know how the world is inundated with streaming platforms. Everybody and their brother has a streaming platform now.
Everybody.
Truth is, there's that funny joke that I love where it's like someone out there is going to be like, you know what? We need to take all of these streaming platforms and put them all in one package and call it cable. And charge as much for, like, we're just in this cycle. Anyway, news has broke. It's the wildest thing. There's a new streaming platform coming to the market shortly from none other than Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is going to have their own streaming platform. You don't believe it? Look it up.
So what? How do you make that jump? Chicken just wasn't cutting it?
That's the thought. Exactly. It's now we have restaurants.
Chicken's making us billions, but with streaming platforms, we could make trillions.
Yeah.
You're the best at what you do. Don't jump over.
Getting into the game. I had to do a deeper dive into this, though. Because there's all sorts of funny stuff. There's a lot of funny stuff on the internet right now about like what the shows potentially could be. The biggest question is, are you going to be able to stream on Sundays?
Jeez.
They're like the only app that is going to go down every Sunday.
So what do they stream? I mean, what is it like? Do they have?
They're going to be creating family friendly content that are wholesome entertainment.
I'm out.
Right? I mean, you got to know this. Immediately, my brain was like, they are going to have a, a kids show or something about those cows. They have to. They eat more chicken cows. There's got to be a
I
show with
don't.
those cows involved. I mean, I would look. The billboards are kind of funny. The pictures are kind of funny. I'm sure there's going to be some kind of show revolving around them. But again, as wild and as crazy as this seems, I did a little bit of more digging and research. Apparently, and these companies are two separate things, so they're not one thing. But apparently, the owners or the group, whatever that owns Chick-fil-A, their goal was always to be in the business of creating family kind of entertainment. And so they actually, I think it's down in Georgia, they actually have a movie studio. And this movie studio is actually really prominent right now in Hollywood. Like a lot of Hollywood movies are shooting their movies on this studio rather than out in Hollywood and all this kind of stuff. So they have this separate entity that is already a movie studio, and they've always wanted to do that. So it just seems like they're taking these two worlds and kind of blending them a little bit to create family-friendly content. It's weird that it's under the house of Chick-fil-A, but that is a big name, I guess. So who knows? It'll be interesting.
Well, let me say this. My only thought is this: whatever they produce, if it's great, I'm all in. I'll start with that.
Yeah.
I don't like. I mean, probably because of how I'm wired. I do not like institutionalized Christianity. You know what I'm saying. I hate how everybody says Chick-fil-A is the Lord's chicken. First of all, KFC is delicious too. Okay, I don't eat KFC ever, but it's just this concept of like all the Christian stay-at-home moms go to Chick-fil-A for lunch, and the homeschool groups go to Chick-fil-A and do their co-ops. Like, I have no problem with the stay-at-home moms do that. My wife was a stay-at-home mom for years, and guess where she went? Chick-fil-A. Why? They had a play place, and it was clean. And Chick-fil-A's food is good, and it's not like you're eating fast food all the time. So Chick-fil-A does a great job, and I love what they are. I love the restaurants. It's great. My kids always want to go there. I'm like, dude, we don't eat fast food a lot, but we're on the road. It's like, yeah, if you're going to have to eat fast food, it's Chick-fil-A. So, but my biggest pushback on a lot of this stuff is family-friendly content. I get it. And I think it's great. Getting stuff that your kids can watch, putting stuff in their hearts and their minds. I get all of it. I'm great. I just think my biggest concern is it's institutionalized. Like, you know, the whole, well, they're not for homosexuals, and so homosexuals are going to boycott Chick-fil-A, then they do, and then it doesn't really affect them, and Chick-fil-A keeps going, right?
Yeah.
It's such a device. It's turned into a somewhat, not, well, we're just standing for our rights, but almost a divisive company in that they're not being divisive. But I mean, you're like, well, they stand for something. I get all that. And I think they are inclusive. I think they try. But I'm saying, like, my biggest thing with this is I think we institutionalize Christianity so much. Like, we have that TV that, like, it blocks everything before it comes into your house. And I think it's great that parents want to monitor what their kids watch and make sure good things are going in. But I got a news flash for every parent out there. Your kids are growing up, and there will be a time they have to choose on their own. And I have seen two things. I have seen kids grow up in homes where they're super protected, and they struggle so much to function outside of their home until they kind of go out on their own. Sometimes it's really good, sometimes really bad. Or I've seen it where parents are actually with their kids. And I'm not seeing beside my children, they're 13 watching rated R movies. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not exposing them to sexual things. So there is a degree of that. But I do get concerned whenever we pull back the reins so much on what our kids can see and do that they don't really experience the world until we're not with them. And that to me is the scary part. Yeah. Like, my kids, I try to expose them to a lot. My parents weren't really like that. Like, my parents were pastors. There was stuff I couldn't watch, stuff they didn't want me to do. Doesn't mean I didn't do it, but I grew up in an environment where there was a lot of freedom, and it actually really helped me grow. I went to school in Missouri. I went to school in the middle of the country away from my family. And I didn't get to that place where I was like, man, I'm going to party hard. I had opportunities to, and there was times we would throw down and do something we shouldn't, but it was never, and I know kids grew up in homes that have no rules and they're still crazy. I get all that. I'm just saying, I think the greatest thing Christian parents can do is walk with our kids as they're being exposed to things. Because I can promise you this: your kids, if your kids are protected and you're homeschooled, and they're not, and they're in these co-ops, and you constantly have protection around them, there is coming a time where they're going to grow up with or without you. And so I think it's great. I know this got a lot deeper than you probably intended it to, or maybe you didn't. But I think my biggest concern is that really family friendly, they're probably talking Christian. And I'm a Christian and I love the Lord. I'm a pastor.
Yeah.
And I push people to God because he is the only hope. He is the hope of the world. He is the only thing that saves. He's the only thing that delivers. He is the only redemption. The only answer to health is Jesus. The only answer to addiction being gone is Jesus. The only answer to you having a life full with hope and joy and peace is Jesus. Period. There's no answer B.
Yeah.
This is the only thing that's been proven, the only thing that will be proven. He is it. My point. I think that we are afraid that our kids, we raise our kids to never need miracles. You know, and what I mean by that is believe in it if they're sick, believe in it if they need it. But I think we're terrified of our kids being the one who needs the miracle in life. And I'm scared. I got 4 boys there. I'll be honest with you. There's absolutely parts of me that's scared if my kids become alcoholics or they start using drugs because a friend exposed them to it. And you're thinking, well, if you raise them up and the way they'll go, they're old, they won't depart from it. And when they're old, they won't depart from it. But I don't want my kid in their 20s to go through a drug addiction. But I can't stop that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what I can do is I'm not like, well, we're going to expose them to drugs. No, I'm saying, but we can have those conversations now. They can see things that like, what is that guy? You're like, dude, he's actually addicted to drugs. And we have those conversations now. So I don't know. I'm a parent that I'm all about, I want my kids to live in the world, but not be of it. And I want to be with them and be their dad and help them and guide them through things. I do get a little worried when we constantly are pulling ourselves out of the world to make sure we have safe environments, because the Bible says to be in the world, but not of it. And I think that we missed it in part a lot. A lot.
Yeah.
That's I believe that firmly. There's a reason my kids go to public schools. Quite honestly, the public schools have been a phenomenal training ground for me to teach my children about Jesus. I don't know how else to say it. I have a lot of friends who
absolutely.
They have a lot of friends who throw their kids in private school for no other reason. I don't know how my kids aren't going to learn that crap. Well, where do you think they're going to learn? Oh, they're going to learn about Jesus. Okay, so when their kids learn that crap, what are they going to respond to? Because their kids are going to learn it. Well, no, their kids are going to private school too. Well, that's fine. Or my kids are going to be homeschooled. That's fine. I have no problem with people that homeschool. I get it. There's real reasons and they're good reasons. I have no problem with people who go to private school. I went through private school from 2nd to 5th grade. I hated every minute of it. But there's people who go to private schools and there's good reasons. And schools are good. They're good schools. It's good 101. It's good academics. It's good sports. I get that. Fully agree. I don't have any problem with what anybody does. But I think a lot of people have problems with pastors who put their kids in public schools. And I'm thinking, well, the public school is a great training ground for my kids because they're asking a lot of good questions. And they're not going to be surprised when they go to a public college that's not a private Christian university. I went to a public school at George Mason University before I went to a private Christian university in Evangel University. And I never felt like I needed exposure to anything. I mean, I lived in a co-ed dorm my first year as a freshman. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In a public university. So my whole point is, like with my boys, I love public schools for that. They bring so much. You don't get much more living in the world than sending your kids to public school. You know, it's all political. Everything has to be done politically. Everything has to be by the books. Everybody's happy. And stuff doesn't make sense a lot to those. It's like you're definitely making the public schools definitely make things harder in reality. I mean, there's no other way around it. Like some things you're like, that makes no sense to anybody who has common sense. But there's a lot of people they have to please. And so they do things a certain way to try to appease, you know, different crowds all over the place. But my boys, you get to have conversations with them. And it's been good. So I don't know. I hold on to that scripture, man. Live in the world, not of it. Now, I think Chick-fil-A programming could be the next big thing since DirecTV, if that's what you guys watch. I don't know. Even though they're fighting with ESPN right now. But it could be next big thing.
Are they really?
But that's my 10 cents on it, man. I think you got to it worries me in that I think we get more and more insulated. People who say they're Christians. And I say that word as if I meant it, the word say. Because we become insulated, we protect our kids from everything, we protect ourselves, and we all have a certain political affiliation, and then we wonder why we're not making an impact. It's because we've insulated ourselves. You're just you're salting the salt, you know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm passionate about this stuff, man. I'm passionate about insulated Christians. I really am. It's a disconnect for me. But this could be great programming.
That definitely, it definitely got deep.
Yeah, it could be great programming. It could be. I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
we'll see. It looks
I'd
like
be
they've
interested to
got.
see.
I was reading a little bit more about it. It looks like they've got some kind of big names attached to it that have done some other pretty big shows and stuff, like X Factor.
Yeah.
There's some producer of X Factor and stuff that's going to be working with them to create some game shows. We'll see. My only thing is, there's a part of me that's like, it'd be awesome if it was just some free thing, because there's obviously Tubi in particular. It's like a streaming service that's completely free, which I didn't even know this till I looked it up the other day. Tubi is the biggest streaming platform just simply because it's free. It doesn't cost anything, so it's got the most subscribers, which is crazy. But if it's like a $10 a month for Chick-fil-A, I'm like, I can't do, like, these streaming platforms are getting out of control. Like, as someone who doesn't have, TV, or, I don't pay for any cable or anything like that, it's like, this is getting wild at this point.
No, I get it.
Did I drop?
Okay. I get it. No, I listen. Cool. I think, no, it does, man. It does. I think it's one of those things for me where I wonder, like, what could people, like, we just need one platform to bring Netflix and Hulu and Prime Video and everything together. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen.
No, I mean, Disney's trying, and it's only because Disney has bought everything. So if you have Disney Plus right now, you technically have all access to the Hulu stuff. You have ESPN stuff. Not all of it. That's the thing, is like, I'll get text, hey, like, the Orioles are on ESPN tonight, but like, not that ESPN. So it's, and they have all the Fox stuff. Basically, though, the sad thing about, one company would just have to buy every other company.
And they would be a monopoly, which would never happen.
Yeah, exactly. That wouldn't work.
So let me tell y'all something that I'm here. Obviously, today is my birthday. You heard Corey sing a beautiful rendition of Happy Birthday, serenade us all. At the beginning of this year, I want to share something kind of, I've hesitated talking about this because I don't like giving platforms to people that are trying to take a platform, or people that are crying about something. Like, platforms God's given me, I don't give it to other people, especially when it's scrutiny. But I'm on the back end of something that I feel like now is an appropriate time, because I feel like a lot of people listening, you may be going through the same thing. And I just wanted to speak to it. The beginning of this year, really last year, I started coaching a new team. I had two of my boys in travel ball. I had done a lot for the community of baseball. I had taken over the president of our local Little League. I had built a program for our Little League that now has grown from like 2 to, I don't know if it's 5 or 6 teams, different age groups in travel that are like a Sunday select. I took a team last year. We were sponsored by Under Armour in Easton, and a great, the guy who's over like the Mid-Atlantic, or this area of Virginia, he had, great leader. He brought me in, was like, hey man, would you like to coach this team? Just everything lined up. It was great. But before the season started, and it wasn't really about baseball, but the Lord spoke to me last summer, and he said, this year I'm preparing you. And I was like, all right, great, success. And he's like, well, you're going to be successful. He said, but I'm not preparing you for success. I'm preparing you for scrutiny. And Corey, I know you've heard me talk about this a lot. I've really used this to speak into our staff and into people around me. But he said, I'm preparing you for the scrutiny. That don't sound very fun. Well, it wasn't long into the season that I sensed exactly what God had been stirring in me. And there are a couple of sites that are big on Facebook down here, travel baseball sites and things like that, with thousands of people on them. And it wasn't long into the season last year that a person went online and started to destroy me personally. It wasn't about anything other than baseball, and then the fact I was a pastor. So right away I knew it was spiritual warfare. And honestly, I get scrutiny. I get people have opinions. Last year I got death threats based on the podcast before. I mean, that's just another day, honestly. But this one felt personal. I felt like they knew me. And it wasn't because of what they were saying. It was like some of the stuff they're saying, like, it wasn't that it was fact. It was that you'd have to been somewhere to hear me say something to get that out of it. Like, it wasn't public knowledge, and nobody was recording conversations with parents. Like, just didn't make sense. There was so much in it that I was like, I have got to be completely, I was blindsided, because I just couldn't understand who would say this and why. Like, I just couldn't put it all together. I couldn't imagine with the life of me who would say these things. So it went on for months. Anytime my life had a success, anytime my oldest son, who plays baseball and who has done really well, anytime he has had success, this person would go online and destroy my son. They would talk about him specifically and about how bad of an athlete he was and about all these things. And I'm thinking, bro, he's a kid. Like, this person's sick. Like, they've got a real issue. Like, there's an anger issue. They got some significant sin they're concealing in their life. They're going to talk about a kid. And then they're destroying me. They talked about my church. And this was like, there was all kinds of people online saying, if this person, if he did this, show us the video. And it wasn't anything criminal. They were just, talk about me as a coach, as a person, as a pastor, about how horrible I was. And so there was obviously, like, the organization I was coaching for went online and they shut it down. It was the course of months. And so last spring, it kept going on last spring. And this person would post on every site they could find to destroy me. And I know a lot of the guys that run these sites. And so it would get taken down. My buddy would text me, hey man, we took care of it. It would just get taken down site by site as they continue to try to do it. Well, last spring, it hit another level whenever, my oldest son, made his middle school team, and it's a team that not a lot of people make. It's like unicorns if you make this team, and he made it. And they were destroying him on this person. I say them, it was a person destroying him online. It made it look like it was a bunch of them. It was a person. And I just could not figure out. I was like, who would hate? Like, who is out to get us? Like, who is it? Who could it possibly be that cares this much? And this is the first time I publicly even addressed these things. And I'm going to tell you why in a minute. So I thought I had some ideas. And I thought there was some stirring. I was like, man, and I started praying about it. Like, Lord, I need you to show me who's doing this. Because it was at the point where Caden didn't care. My oldest didn't care because he's like, whatever. None of his friends look at Facebook anyway. But it was like, who cares?
That's the truth.
But we were just getting destroyed. And it wasn't even like this guy's a bad coach. It's like, he's a liar. And then there was a comment made this summer. Out of nowhere, it started again. So I decided not to coach my 13U team next year. Those kids are now going to 14. And people got mad. I had people quit the team. And so I got some guest players. And we went up to a tournament and won the tournament. And it wasn't to make a point. It was simply like I had kids that wanted to play for me, that whenever I had kids quit, we just replaced them. And my point was I was faithful to those kids who quit. And they were good kids. I mean, the kids are cool. The parents are cool. I mean, we're all cool. It was just, I understand it was emotional. It was hard. Parents saw I was going to be with these kids for years, and then I just decided not to coach again. So I get it. Like, people make decisions in the moment. They're good people. I love them with all my heart. I love their kids with all my heart. I'll do everything I could to help those kids succeed in life, hands down. Great people. But, made emotional decisions, and I get it. Like, it was where they were at, and we've had conversations since. I never had a kid quit any of my teams ever in my life as a coach. And so it was and all that to say, after we won that tournament, it happened again. And at that point, I knew who it was. I didn't say anything, but I had an investigator call me that day, one of my friends who's a police investigator. And they were like, hey, bro, I just had an investigator call me and ask me if I knew who Brandon Shank was. And he said, yeah, I know who he is. My kid plays ball with him. And he goes, this dude needs to press charges against these people for what they're saying online, because this is like libel. This is actual slander. So they'd made accusations that I was stealing money from my team, which anybody who plays travel ball knows that it takes every dollar you have to make it work. They made accusations, and we're not a nonprofit. It was literally like the way I did it. We set up checking accounts, and we like the money that comes in, it goes to the tournaments. I mean, you get into 13U tournaments cost like $1,000 or more just to attend them a lot of times. So, I mean, you're basically running a pretty tight budget all year. And so it was just impossible. Like, when you really do the math, like, it's just impossible to even defend something like that, because you're like, anybody who coaches knows. But it was one of those things, I don't have to defend it. I don't owe you an explanation. You know what I'm saying? Like, I coach travel ball to steal $2,000. It's like, come on, give me a break. Like, are you serious? Like, a lot of travel ball coaches at 13U get paid. The big time travel ball coaches, they're getting paid. So, and I didn't get anything. Like, I was doing it because my kid was on the team. I love the kids. I was doing it to be a part. All that to say, they were just they started to get slanderous. They started to make accusations that were inaccurate about me and my family. But then when they started saying that, I was like, well, that's actually a criminal accusation to say I'm stealing from people and from families. Mm-hmm. So at that point, based on the recommendations of people, they were like, hey, if you can find out who this is, I would press charges on them, because this is actually stuff where they're going online and they're saying things that are actually, there's nothing legal that can happen, because there's no, like, you're not stealing from anything, or you're not an organization. Yeah. It's not like I'm stealing from something. It was just when you tell me, I'm a pastor, I run nonprofits, and now they're trying to tell me, they're saying things that couldn't be further from the truth. And I had never thought of it, like, whatever, people run their mouth. But honestly, it was the first time somebody came into my corner and said, hey, man, why don't you put your foot down? Like, it's enough. It's been 9 months. Like, they were just sick of it. And this guy was a police investigator. I made a phone call, and I know who it was. I know who it was, and I know who was writing it, and I know who was saying it. Made a phone call, and I said, hey, in passing, if this ever happens again, I'm going to press charges, and nothing's been posted since.
Yeah.
Nothing's been posted since. Because that person knew they were lying, and they knew that they'd been caught because they got lazy. Anytime anybody posts anonymous online, everybody should delete it anyway, because if you can't put your name on it, then you know it's not fact. But the things that have been said were so far removed from the truth. The reality is, every kid I've ever coached, any parent, whether or not they liked me or like me now, which I don't know why they would know, like, I'll fight for these kids. Like, you know, I believe in them. Every kid that I've ever coached, I gave opportunities. Some kids weren't ready for the opportunity, but I still believe in them. I still believe in them. They weren't ready when the year ended, but I still believe in them. Do I think they're going to be ready in the next year or two? I do. I picked those kids because I think they got something in them, period. They might not have arrived when I coached them because they were still growing. I absolutely believed in those kids, and I hope they know that, and I hope that they see, like, man, coach believed in me. Like, he loved me, man. Like, this dude, he might have been tough on me, but I can tell you, parents who think coaches are too tough on your kids, you're not doing them any favors. If a coach is cussing at your kid, I don't stand for that. Like, straight up, I played football. Coaches would tear us a new one. I don't stand for that. If you're going to cuss while you're talking to my kid, it's one thing. But if you're going to cuss at my kid, you ain't going to be coaching them. Like, I teach my kids about honor. And if a coach dishonors my kid, you're not teaching him anything, because that's not the way you do business. But I say that because, you know, it's all quieted. We're doing some huge things. So I think that this individual and the person that's been posting on their behalf, I think they're going to have the greatest temptation in the world coming up in the next couple of months, because we're ready to blow this thing up here in Virginia Beach. We're about ready to start this baseball academy. And it's going to change the game, man. The whole concept is, and this actually wasn't a day that I was going to promote it, but we have an academy starting called Virginia Beach Academy, and the tagline, it's bigger than baseball. We're building men. We're building men who are going to do great things and go into the world of baseball. It's going to take them new levels. We're going to build D1 athletes. You know, we have guys that have a passion for this. We're going to use technology. We're hoping the kids go to the pros out of here. We're hoping the kids go to colleges and play. We have a lot of kids who just want to play in college. Like, I want to see their dreams come true. I was that kid who just wanted to play ball in college, and nobody was really there to help me. I had a friend who was a phenomenal quarterback that played, and we threw all the time, and he was a phenomenal athlete. And dude, he is hands down the reason that I got a college scholarship. The thousands of hours we practiced together, to this day, I give him credit for that. And, so I want to be that for other kids. You know, I'm not going to be doing a lot of the coaching. I'm actually just overseeing the organization, because the whole purpose of our baseball organization, it's a nonprofit that we built, and it's called Virginia Beach Academy. And then we bought a building in the oceanfront, and it'll be launched this winter, and we can't wait for it. But the whole purpose in it is that the money we make off that academy is going towards another academy that I built called Fresh Start Academy. And it's called Fresh Start in a Familiar Place. And it's basically to help kids coming out of juvenile detention centers and drug rehabs to get transitioned back into their homes with their families. And it's a virtual program to help them in their homes. And so it's bigger than baseball in that we want to build men. We want to know report cards. We want to know how they're doing in class. We want to know if there's discipline. We want to help parents raise these young men into what they can be as men. And we also want to teach them how to play the game of baseball. It's going to be a hitting and pitching kind of in-depth metric, lots of technology, that elite level of athlete that just like needs that one more level. That's going to be us. And so there will be a certain number of kids we're able to take due to what we're able to do and the capacity where we want to start at. But we're excited. We already have kids knocking on the door wanting to be a part of it. and families. And a lot of that's coming out. It's all going to be coming out. The websites are almost done. We're going to be pushing it hard this fall. But I say that, I really wasn't even intending on talking about that during the podcast, but I say that because I think a lot of you might be listening today and you might be like, man, I've just been under scrutiny, like haters. I can tell you this. I was never hurt last year that somebody wrote that because I knew that if they didn't put their name on it, they didn't deserve my emotions. That's the best way I can put it. I didn't give much validity.
Yeah.
I had a hard time putting my mind around why somebody would care that much about me and my son. Why would you care so much about my life and my kid that you would take so much time? And I'm talking 150 comments and then some on these posts or more on some of them. They're arguing with parents. I'd have people jump in and be like, oh, this and this. And I still am like, why would somebody hate that much? Why would somebody hate me, hate my kid that much? It had nothing to do with, and then I realized because they're jealous that they feel entitled to something that someone else has worked for, that someone else has earned, and that they feel like they can tear this person up. And I'm thinking, but what's the point?
Yeah.
If I wanted to coach a team this year, I had a team ready. I had kids wanting to play for my team. I had parents writing me, asking me, are you coaching? We want to come try out. It's like, no, I'm not. I can have a team if I want to coach. What is it about people that, you know what I'm saying? And I realized that it's evil. The evil has one purpose, and it's to destroy the good. You know, that's the only purpose of evil. And so this year I have been prepared for the scrutiny. I can tell you, I love people, but I just don't care what they think. I've seen a lot of the coaches are fickle, man. I have a lot of friends that are really good coaches and a lot of really good coaches that are friends. But dude, there's a lot of coaches that they just hide behind their kids and they want to say things and they want to do things, but they won't say it to you. They will, I don't care what anybody thinks what they'll say, but the reality is they care what everybody thinks. That's why they act a certain way. And it's hard to watch when you see kids because, like, man, your kid would really thrive under a good coach, but they won't let him go. Like, my kid's 14. People are like, why would you let him go now? It's like, quite frankly, he don't need me. Like, he don't need me at this point. He needs different coaching. You know, he's on a team right now. They're all about development. And that's really where we wanted to send him. Like, you know, Caden, this next phase for him, we were like, I don't really care about wins and losses. I want him to go to a good team. And he went to a phenomenal team, great kids, great families. But they're big on development. Like, this team is about the details, and that's where I want him to go. And he's loving it. He's loving his team. He loves the people. He loved his old team. He loved the old parents and the old kids. But he's just at a place where I'm like, man, at this point, it's about, if this kid wants to play big time ball, like, you gotta grind. And I tell him all the time, if you're going to play college baseball, then get used to being lonely, because there's a lot of kids who won't be able to get there. It's that simple.
Yeah.
It's that simple. I played in a big school in Virginia. I was the only kid. Me and one other kid went to college and played football. Another kid only went for 1 year. And I told him, if you want to play baseball, it's going to be lonely, man. And for anybody listening, if you want to be great at something, get used to being lonely. Leadership is lonely. Kobe Bryant said that. I read a meme not too long ago, right after I told him that. It was something about that. Like, you want to be great, then be okay with being lonely. Because greatness doesn't come from swinging 700 times in a cage. Greatness comes from being willing to puke your guts out running stairs. Greatness comes from being up every day and working on your skill and your craft. And you can want something all you want, but I tell Caden all the time, like, you're 14, now, if you want to play big time ball, you got to hit in that cage at least 3 or 4 times a week. You got to be out there working on your craft, or I'm not going to pay for travel anymore. Because now he's 14. Yeah. I've never pushed my kids like this ever. When they're little, I don't push them. But now he's at this point, I'm like, you really want to grind? I'm not paying. You can play ball around here, but if you want to play big time ball, you're gonna have to earn it. And so he's self-propelled. That man's been out there at 5 a.m. in the garage working out by himself, and I didn't even know he did it. I had to wake him up for school, and my wife's like, he was out in the garage this morning. I was like, what's wrong with him? You know, but it's like, that's on him. Like, he's gonna have to do that now, because I said, nah, at this point, you're beginning 8th grade, you're going to high school. At this point, it does have to be your passion, if we're gonna play at this level. And I tell you that because you know, I've never pushed my kids like that, and I won't push them until they get to about 8th or 9th grade. I just don't, because I know that what really matters. I'm a college athlete. You know, I was on a college scholarship. I know what it takes, and I know that you push them kids too young, they might burn. But I also know that in my life, the scrutiny has helped me more than the success. Yeah. So this is my opportunity to say thank you, all you haters, all you hate posters. Thank you. Thank you, all you death threaders. But
Yeah.
honestly, the scrutiny in my life has helped a lot because it's made me hold to Jesus and made me realize that his opinion of me is really it's not the only one that matters. It's the one that matters most. I care what people think. I care what my wife thinks. But there's a lot of people who I just honestly, genuinely, I love them, but I just don't care what they think of me. It
Yeah.
means nothing in my life. It doesn't help or hurt me. It's just their opinion. And I think for a lot of people, we live for people's pleasure. And I can tell you as a pastor, as somebody who leads a lot of different things, I've absolutely been that way. But even this year, I said it in the last podcast, it's what you say no to, not what you say yes to. And I recently stepped down as the president of the board for our Little League just because, this academy is starting and the church is growing and we got another campus in Maryland. And I'm teaching classes this fall. There's just so much that I'm like, I got to put my yeses where they're going to make the most impact, not where I care, because I care about all of it. And so I just think it's really important to let people know that your haters, you propel me. So thank you. But the reality is, that's because I'm competitive. But the reality is, man, at the core of most people, they're really good. They're really good. Even the ones that I've had problems with in coaching or parents, or they're good, man. I love those people. I love their kids, and their kids I believe in, and I think they're going to do something amazing. I think a lot of these young men are going to be amazing. I'm grateful I got to coach them for even a small stint of their career. But yeah, when I found out and I know who it wasn't hurtful. It was just like, why would you do that? Like, why would you do that, bro? Like, what is it? Why are you obsessed with my life? And I realized that people live in so much hurt that they can't get help and healing on their own, and they won't reconcile with people in their life that they've hurt. So the only thing you can do is try to hurt others. And so some of you may feel targeted by people. You may be sitting here today listening to this and feeling like people have been you've had scrutiny by people. People only scrutinize what they're jealous of or what they can't control. What's the purpose of putting your opinion out there about somebody else? Well, because you're jealous or you want control of it. But that doesn't take you anywhere. It doesn't actually help you in your life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not going to actually do in your life what you think it's going to do.
Yeah. That's good. Immediately, I thought of when you're talking about it, again, not to say that this is necessarily that situation, but it just reminded me of reading scripture and Moses and Pharaoh and all the times there's like the plagues, and then God hardened Moses's heart, where it's just like, man, there's some people that, man, their heart it's just hard. And yeah, you feel for them, but at the same point, God will get the glory. And so, he'll use situations like that to get the glory. And I think it's, he prepped you for it, and then he walked you through it. So it's kind of like, yeah, God gets the glory. He always will. And so as tough as they are, it's kind of a beautiful thing. We see this throughout scripture, and that's how it is, man.
Well, I will tell you this. I was never, this is a weird thing. I was never hurt.
Yeah.
I was just dumbfounded as to why. And why would somebody try to tear you up like that? Like, what's the point? What's the point? But I can tell you this. The amount of scrutiny. I mean, dude, when those posts will go up, I'll be getting texts. I'll be getting calls from organizations, from coaches, people mad, ready to fight whoever posted it. I was getting people like, dude, I'm going to find out who this is. I mean, no. Like, it's okay. Because they want to defend you because they love you and you love them. And I appreciated that. I appreciated people caring. But it got to the point where, like, well, it's just social. It's just that it wasn't that. It wasn't that. Well, it's just social. So when somebody goes on these places where there's thousands of people, like this one place, they had posted this and it said like they're like one of their biggest days of new members was that particular day. It's like, we have 100 new members today or whatever. We have 50 new members or 30 new members today, whatever it was. Because that one thing went up and people were like, did you hear about this? And nobody will say anything to me, but I know everybody's talking. And so, yeah, your name's just being drugged through the mud. And I've had people call me and say, hey, man, or in passing, like, yeah, that thing that they were saying about you, somebody called me, is like, did you hear about Brandon? They're like, yeah, I don't believe it. And they're like, oh, okay. And so, people who know your character, but the reality is there's a lot of people who don't. And I can tell you this, there will be people who make decisions about you based on never having met you but read something. But I will tell you this, what scrutiny has done for me this past year has galvanized me more than any success has my entire life.
Yeah.
And you can't hide if you want to make an impact. You can't. If you want to make a big impact in life, you can't hide. You can't hide. You can't be a great leader and play hide and seek. You've got to be out front. What I stand for, Jesus, young men. I'm going to make these boys into young men. This academy, we're going to bring kids in and we're going to develop them. We're going to put metrics on them. We're going to use technology. We got great coaching. We got great people that are, great coaches that are on contract. I'm excited about what we're able to bring to this city because I think it's going to be a level of elite training that there's a handful of people looking for. I think a lot of people are looking for it, but there's a handful of people that are really looking for it that I think it's gonna be amazing. I think we're gonna have to figure out ways to continue to add people to the program because I think we're gonna be an overflow right away. I really do. I mean, the handful of people I've talked to are all like, "When's it start? I want in." And you're like, I get it, but it's something that's gonna be different. But I really believe that we're gonna be able to look at kids' lives that have been changed that get into college that wouldn't have gotten in had it not been for this academy. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited to make a difference in people's lives. So, but here's my final thought. So as you know, today is my birthday. I'm 42, but my question every year I ask is, what does it really matter? Everything I've ever done, what does it really matter? Because everything will end someday. And when it does, what matters? What really matters? And you know what I always think? I was telling Casey the other night, I was like, if I'm on my deathbed and I've lived a long, full life, I can tell you, anything I've accumulated, Ecclesiastes says it so well. King Solomon wrote it so well. Nothing really matters. But what matters is the impact I made in people's lives. The only thing that matters is the eternal impact I made in people's lives. The way that they feel loved by God, the way that their life has been moved or changed by God, the way that they feel stirred by God, the way that they feel overwhelmed by God, the way that they were introduced to God by me through my life, the way that they were challenged to grow closer to God through my life. Like when I'm on my deathbed, the only thing that's going to matter is how much have I done for Jesus? All the young men that go to college because of this academy, they're going to look back and say, man, somebody cared enough to build something to help me get where I'm at. And that's what I look at. I look at guys and coaches around me that they have cared enough to get me to a place that only God could take me. And so I hope today you can look at your life and you can say what really matters, and you can take away everything in your life. But you look at your family, and some of it you're like, well, they're my family, but I don't really care. That's okay. The ones that you have to develop, your kids, your spouses, love them, pour into them, and know that at the end of the day, the thing that matters the most is what impact have I made that's going to last forever. You're not here just to make somebody's life better. You're here to make a lasting impact, something that could change the trajectory of their life forever. And so I hope that you're encouraged today to know that all the stresses and the things we worry about oftentimes aren't the things that are going to make the greatest impact. Those are the things that stress us out. The greatest impact are the things that only God can do. Let me pray for you. Lord, I just thank you so much for each and every person. I pray that they would see today that all the things that overwhelm us, God, you want to carry our burdens, and that you will. God, I thank you for these great 42 years. I pray for many more. I pray that you will be with each and every listener, that they will know you love them, you're with them. In Jesus' name, amen. Love y'all.